What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York, and on the phone we got Emma Garell here. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, it's so awesome to have you here. The newest single is Mother May I. What I'm curious is, could this single be like representative of what the entirety of your album or catalog is going to sound like, or is this just the beginning in a way, just the first taste?
I think that it's the first taste. I mean, I feel like it's definitely a better representation than my past singles of what the album is going to be. But I can say that we're kind of going a little bit heavier with the album than the past singles, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Was that kind of like a preconceived idea, or did it kind of just happen that way?
I think I just had a very angry past couple of months, honestly, and so then I came at the songs I was writing were, a little bit heavier because of that, and I think that kind of just formed into the rest of the sound for the album,
That's interesting. I mean, it's definitely the perfect time to write angry music in a way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there ever a time where maybe like lyrics or a concept can determine the outcome of the music itself, or do you need music before any lyrics or story can be laid down in the song?
I usually write lyrics first. In fact, most of the time I write poems first, and then those turn into the songs. A couple times I've tried to write a song to, a riff or something, and it's a lot more time. It's kind of harder for me, so I kind of go into it with the idea, with a line out of a poem or whatever, and just kind of build it from there.
You ever worried that you'll have like the best lyrics ever though, but they're always like one syllable over or under the actual arrangements?
Yeah, I have that problem sometimes.
Yeah, it's
definitely have that problem.
And I'd imagine you'd have to like adjust it and like maybe butcher the words in a way or something like that.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to kind of throw away a line that you're like, oh my god, this is so good, and like I go into writing sessions sometimes and I'm like, this line, this is great, and then they're like, this is just not working, so we got to change it a little bit, and it's like, fuck, okay.
Yeah. Do you like to leave lyrics open to interpretation, or do you try to maybe convey a certain message to sort of get the listener to see things from your point of view?
I think that I keep it, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of vague a little bit, but although I did just write this song, it's like super specific, because I've been kind of listening to a lot of artists that are like brutally honest, like very specific, and it's like kind of surprising when you listen to them. You're like, whoa, okay. So I kind of just wrote a song that's like really specific, which I'm kind of into, but I do kind of like being a little vague sometimes, because everybody can kind of put their own story into it,
You like to approach it from both like maybe a literal and metaphorical sort of standpoint?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What I'm curious is, being that, you have songs that are maybe a little bit heavier and then a little bit, more melodic and stuff. Mm-hmm. Does it almost kind of like represent a different side of you emotionally? Like, let's say the songs were instrumental. Do you think that the music would convey that same emotion or that same narrative?
I think so. I feel like Mother May I kind of hits me sometimes with just the instrumental parts of it. So, yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm. And do you try to, in a way, like capture a moment with the songs that you're writing?
Yeah. I mean, most of my songs are kind of, about a moment, actually. Not necessarily like an entire situation. A lot of them are about like one moment that I had that I was just like, this sucks pretty much.
Well, do you find it harder, maybe like the longer you're working on something, the harder it is to kind of like maintain that moment or maintain that imagery or that emotion?
Yeah, for sure. I Want to See Blood, which was a single I came out with earlier this year. When I wrote that song, I was so far away from that situation, which was a breakup, that like it was kind of hard for me to be very specific and emotional, because I didn't really remember, if that makes any sense.
So you almost have to like keep like a notebook or something like that, constantly present, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that maybe like inspiration from the music comes out of the blues sometimes, or do you almost kind of like need to put yourself in a certain element or a certain atmosphere in order for the emotion to like come through?
I kind of, a lot of times it kind of just sparks out of me, and I can like write a whole song. But that doesn't happen very often. Most of the time, I go into the studio with an idea. That might be a melody, or it might be like a single line, and we write a song. And like, I never leave the studio without a song, pretty much, and I like it that way. It's good to go in and be like, okay, I'm leaving with the song. Like, that's just going to happen. And my producer's really good at, getting that out of me. So
yeah, working with a producer has always got to be kind of like a saving grace in a way, right? Because working with a producer like is almost kind of like a member of the band at this point, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it's pretty much just me and Todd and Dylan, who's my guitar player on the records, and me and Todd, my producer, are the only ones who write the songs. So I mean, I joke and say that he's like my walking journal, because I'm just, I go in there and I tell him everything, and he's like, all right, this is what we're going to do.
Well, I mean, and so, because even though like your name is like on the album, but I'd imagine there's like a lot of like outside influence that comes in as well, and like a lot of input and whatnot, right?
Not really. It's really is just me and Todd, and then the guitar solos, usually the last thing we do is we kind of lay down the track, we write the song, and we just leave a space for Dylan, my guitar player, to come in and, write a solo, do his thing. And then we kind of leave space for him if, like, he hears somewhere where he could put, like, a lick or a different kind of riff or something, more guitar overlapping other stuff. But that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Do you, kind of going back to like that sort of like capturing a moment thing, when you were to play the song live or re-execute it in the studio, does it sometimes sort of like put you back at that exact place and time in a way?
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially for like Mother May I, that song, I have not been able to perform it or rehearse it and like not tear up a little bit and like choke, which is a problem. Like, we got to stop that, because every time I'm like up there on stage, I'm like, okay, it like kind of makes my voice mess up.
Mm-hmm. And it almost makes it harder, right? Maybe you don't want to play it live at that point anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and when it comes to like representing that emotion, like how do you try to maybe like think of a different situation when performing that? Do you try to maybe have a different meaning behind it in the live presence as you do when you first wrote it, to maybe sort of think straight when executing it?
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. I should try that. Yeah, I think that would be a good thing to try, actually, but I also haven't played it very out that much, because we came out with it during the pandemic, so yeah, we haven't played it out. So,
but when it does come to playing live, is there maybe like a similar creative energy that you put into your live presence as you do when you're in the studio, or is it is playing live and songwriting almost like a completely separate art?
I definitely think it can be different. I think it depends on the person. I kind of think of myself more of a performer. I'm very, I like to get up on the stage. I like to show people a good time. I like to get people engaged. I like to, show them a show. I have other friends in the music industry, and some of them go up there and they just play their songs, and it's very intimate. But, my style is kind of different. So I kind of feel like I am performing, you know what I mean, when I get up there, than to like play my songs for someone. Yeah.
You were saying?
No, I don't know what I was going to say. I was just rambling.
But do you almost in a way kind of have to like portray a character, or maybe like bring a certain element of choreography to your live presence?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's definitely a lot of people. I'm very shy, like in real life, and I'm very quiet, and I don't really talk to many people. But there's definitely a different me when I get up there. So yeah.
That's funny, because like, I feel like your music is very honest in expressing who you are, but then when people go on stage, they maybe see a different side of you in a way. So it's almost like people are listening to the album, but that's just the tip of the iceberg in describing who Emma Garell is, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, could people maybe have a better understanding of who you are from listening to the album as opposed to seeing you live, or vice versa?
Yeah, I think that listening to my music, you'll get a better idea of who I am. Than seeing me live. Because, like I said, I'm trying to give people a good show, a good night, and have fun. You know.
How do you know when a song is done? Get the difficult question out of the way.
I am so lucky to have my producer because and I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. He does not let me linger, on songs, and and I feel like that's a very important thing for producers to kind of like keep things moving, and I remember when I first started working with him, I kind of felt a little scared of that because it just felt like we really like just made a song and then it was done, and it kind of freaked me out. But now I trust him and I trust all of that, and I trust that, if the song sucked, he would tell me, and if it wasn't done, he would tell me, and I feel like you just gotta not overthink it sometimes,
Overthinking can ultimately be like the worst thing ever for you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I guess, I should probably ask producers that question more, like how do they know when a song is done?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And the final question I wanted to ask you is, from reading about you and stuff, it seems like you take inspiration from multiple sources, right? Not even just musically, but just around the world in general, right? It's like, so there's elements of your music conceptually that are both very internal and external, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. At what point, is there a pinnacle moment that has to occur where if you're inspired by something that this is the time and this is the place to write the song? Or is there almost kind of like preparation involved?
I guess kind of more preparation. I'm a very passive writer, I feel. Like, if I have something pops into my head, I'll write it down on my phone. Something inspires me, whatever that is. A lot of times when I'm driving, I get like random things. And then usually I'll kind of build on it over time and sit down, or like if I feel like it, I'll sit down and like kind of go over the lyric or whatever alone. And then it really doesn't most of the time it doesn't really turn into much until, I bring it to other people, because, I feel like it's good to have other people's input. I'm just not that type to just like totally like write a song all by myself and be like, this is beginning to end exactly how it's going to be,
Yeah, you almost like prepare it for other people as well,
yeah,
their input in. It's not like you're bringing the producer or your musicians the song, this is what I want, this is how it has to be done. It's like you want their input.
Yeah, most of the time I'm just like, this is the lyrics, and this is sometimes I'll give him like a song from another band that I'm like, I kind of want this vibe, or I kind of, or this might be cool,
Mm-hmm.
So.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Is there just anything else that you would like to promote? Obviously, thanks to a certain virus that shall not be named, shows are, not really in the question right now, but I'd imagine that once all this is over, you'll be bringing, Mother May I and a lot more new material out on the road, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Emma Garell, Mother May I. Be sure to pick that up. And this is Alex from Heavy New York. We will see you next time.